Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we got Candace Owens on Dr. Phil. I'm not sure if this is her first or second time on Dr. Phil, but this is my second time reacting to him. Let's get into it.
We look at Black students and Hispanic students and Native American students.
We are inferior,
and we pity them.
That's what makes my blood boil. I mean, it's just, I am not less than you because you are white. I don't need you to look at me and feel bad for me because of the color of my skin. And that's effectively what you're doing every time you take an application. You say, oh, well, this girl's Black, so I kind of feel bad for her, so I'm going to put her at the top of a line. It's just not necessary. I believe, right, that Black Americans are capable of performing in the same capacity as their white peers. You two don't actually believe that, because if you support affirmative action, you are basically saying that Black Americans cannot do it on their own.
No, what I'm saying is that there's a history of racism and exclusionary practices that instead we're reducing it all the way down just to race. And what these admissions practices are actually doing is saying, no, there's a constellation of factors that we're considering in the holistic review of this application.
So remove race from the applications.
Is basically making it about race. You're saying these are the Black people, these are the white people, these are the Asian people, these are the Native American people, as you mentioned. But as one of the audience members said, what about people who are of mixed race? You know, I'm of mixed background. What am I supposed to mark on an application? Am I supposed to mark multiple boxes? And plus, if you are painting people as an oppressor, if you're white,
that's
and
a
then
terrible
saying
thing to
that
tell
you're
someone to do.
oppressed,
Well, it's the truth because you believe in
color,
affirmative action. So I said mark Black. If you're a mixed student, I'm in an interracial relationship, so I can speak to this. I have a son that's half white and a son that's half Black and a daughter that's half white and half Black. Okay. They're going to mark Black because I know that there are people like you at the universities who will say, well, because this person is Black, I'm just going to let them in.
No, they're going to Black because they're Black.
No, he don't believe what he's saying. Candace Owens, it's telling the truth. My kids are half Black and half white, right? And you see it happening, well, a lot now. Back then in the years, you barely noticed it, but now it's like right in your face. They make it seem like that's when the division comes into play. They make it seem like, or because you're white, you have some type of special privilege compared to somebody that's Black. And because that person is Black, you should have more. It's like what Kendel was saying. It's like you got to have some type of pity on them. No, treat everybody fairly. That's it.
Is it possible for white people to be discriminated against because they are the majority and discrimination involves power? Is it possible?
Absolutely. It is unequivocally
I agree.
possible. It happens all the time. This actually happens not only in specific instances, but this happens in a systemic way on our most elite college campuses. And I would also say that this is happening not just in education, but in the workplace.
Well, is it justified, though? Because if there has been disparity and if there has been discrimination, if there have been minorities that have been excluded for years and years and years and years, is this the way to start to bring some balance and diversity back to those universities and workplaces?
Absolutely not. Affirmative action has been going on for over 50 years, so this has been happening for a long time. And even now, we've actually seen that it's gotten worse in the sense that race relations are so poisonous, and many people on college campuses actually feel like, because of all of this that's happening, they feel like they're being pitted against each other.
Just like I said earlier in the video, a few minutes ago, it is being pushed more now than ever. And somebody, the agenda behind it, somebody's benefiting from all of this. You see, it's happening everywhere. You see it in the cartoons. You've seen it in the movies, the shows. Like, why are they pushing it so much? I mean, I know how they're benefiting from all the division, keeping us, everybody distracted and keep us fighting amongst each other. But why? Why wouldn't they just like let it go? And people are still falling for these tricks over and over and over. They want us divided. Open your eyes. We have to start opening our eyes.
Well, I think I would very respectfully disagree. I certainly don't think that
of course
white people are disadvantaged in college admissions. In fact, I would say it is the exact opposite, which is why there are policies and practices in place now to try to alleviate the historical burden. It's like if you ever played Monopoly before, right? Imagine like you have a person who's playing Monopoly and they get to go around multiple times, right? And then like halfway through the game, someone gets to enter into the game. And then because they get a turn, right, then the accusation is, well, somehow that game is unfair. The kind of accusation, what we would say is reverse racism, we really just view it as what we call race sliding. Race sliding is what happens when gaslighting is racial. And essentially, if you look historically, colleges and universities have prioritized admissions for students who are white.
That's racist.
Why is that? When you admit a student, it's oftentimes based upon their grades, high school grades, and your test scores, ACT and SAT, which are being phased out due to COVID-19. But if you think about it, the SAT and ACT have historically measured access to resources, the neighborhood that you grow up in. It is not a measure of a student's drive, a student's motivation. It is really a measure of their access. And ultimately, we know that when things measure access, they really measure white privilege.
I kind of get what he's saying. How could you just totally go blind to what she just said? It's almost like it went right over his head. Oh, he just totally ignored what she just said.
If we do that, because we haven't fixed the problem down the line.
That's correct. It is the policies are harmful also to the people that they purport to help, and we have all of the evidence there to look at. When you artificially place a Black American into a school in which they do not belong based on their knowledge, doesn't mean that they go on to get A's. In fact, there was a Black adjunct professor, you guys have definitely heard of him, Dr. Thomas Sowell, who was teaching at Cornell University, and he found that the majority of the Black American students that were there were on academic probation. Now, these students were some of the smartest in the nation, but because they were artificially placed amongst their peers at Cornell University, they were failing on academic probation. These policies have never helped Black Americans. It's just basically policies that are put in place to make people feel good, right? I feel like I'm doing something when in fact I'm actually creating harm. You either know the answers or you don't.
When you
Thank you, Candace. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm glad that she gave respect and homage to Thomas Sowell. I reacted to Thomas Sowell maybe 10 months ago, 11 months ago. Well, I reacted to him probably about 8 times. And because of you guys, I got introduced to Thomas Sowell, and that's how I found out the truth. I heard rumors about it, but I didn't really do the research because, when you're working, you got kids, it's hard to do a lot of things. But when I had the time, I went and reacted to the videos that you guys sent me. And Thomas Sowell is the reason why I found out real truth about slavery, how it happened. So people want to take the time, you can go check it out. It's right here on my channel. I'm saying if you don't know the truth behind it, if you don't, feel free to go check out those videos. That opened my eyes to a whole lot of things. And just like Candace said, it's the same thing with welfare and food stamps. It's the same thing. They keep you cushioned. They don't give you enough to get you going. They give you enough to make you feel comfortable where you don't want to work or succeed any further. You guys see what I'm saying? And that's again, because I see some people that are still in the same spots that they were 10, 15 years ago. But that's how they keep you suppressed. You can do the work. You just got to work hard to get it.
say, hey, we have Black students at a particular school who aren't performing at that school as well, the immediate assumption that you're making is, well, maybe it's because they're not smart enough, they're not good enough, or they don't belong here. Whereas it could be about the experience that they're having at that institution. Professors who believe that they're not intelligent enough, that they don't have the capability to do the work, that they see them as criminals, deviants, dangerous, up to no good, or they talk about them with the they statements. They're lazy, they don't care, they don't really belong here. They're only here for the financial aid.
I'm giving you actual facts.
No,
right?
I'm giving you actual facts based upon extensive
say, well, maybe they
research
just
that's been
don't feel
done.
good, but that's not the case. I mean, I went to university. I did not feel good, right? I didn't pull the best grades in high school, probably got into a better university than I should have gotten into based on my performance in high school. It wasn't because of my feelings. It's because I wasn't focused on it. And that, we're talking about a cultural problem, what's going on back at home, as was in my circumstance. None of that is because of institutionalized policy. It almost seems like you guys refuse to accept that, Black students aren't performing well. You feel like you have to have this burden of responsibility when in fact, if you actually wanted to help, you would look at the facts, re-examine the fact that it's not helping anybody. It's not helping Black Americans to artificially place them into universities, and you'd make effective change.
But you're making the assumption that Black students are academically inferior, and they're not.
No,
They're
you
some of
are
our most
actually.
brilliant
That's
students that we
the
have.
basic. No. That you are making the assumption that they are inferior.
You
It
just
is
said
why
that they
you
don't
want
belong there.
policies. I'm talking about the students that are based on the policies that you are defending right now, saying that we should have these policies that let them into these universities, not based on their skill set, but based on the color of their skin. So you are assuming that they are inferior.
Comedian Tyler Fisher.
Yes. Candace just broke him down like it was nothing. You see his face, he's like getting kind of dumbfounded. She's telling you the truth, telling you the facts. It didn't happen to me. My father wasn't there. My mom had to work excess amount of hours. I had a stepdad. My stepdad really wasn't the greatest. He didn't really push me the way I should have been pushed throughout high school the better my education. But I was lucky and blessed to have the work mentality of a hard worker, the work to do physical labor. Thank God I had that. I don't know what would have became of me, honestly. And I my mom stick true. I wasn't a perfect kid. You guys know how it goes, but she stuck at my side no matter what I was going through. Until I became older in my mid-20s, I had a child. My first son became a better father that I didn't even know I was able to become. I thought I would have become just like my father. That was one of my greatest fear, but I didn't. I was already a hard worker. I already had a job for 6 years. I went and got another job just to make sure my kids had everything that they needed. But you see, I didn't have it up there because I was in high school, fooling around, hanging out with the fellas after school, drinking, smoking. I didn't have that push at home because my mom was busy working. And my stepdad didn't really pay that much attention because that was my stepdad. Not all stepdads are like that, but he didn't push me the way I should have been pushed to get the education that I needed. But thank God everything worked out the way it did. I'm still working. I haven't moved up. Manager, making almost $80,000 a year. So, everything worked out for the best. But like Candace said, you can't just place people not based on their skill set just because you feel some type of sympathy or pity for them. Everybody has to work hard. Everybody. It shouldn't be like that. But that's the way that's what they do. Black Americans stay falling for the same trick over and over and over. They're not realizing what they're really doing, keeping you in that same spot, making you not grow any further. And if they do, they'll give you the tools for you to destroy yourself. One of Tupac Shakur's mom said that. They will give you the tools for you to destroy yourself, just like with the rap music.
Claims he has been turned down by 3 agencies because they said they just weren't looking for white men to book at this time. Tyler, thanks for being here.
Thank you, thank you. I identify as a Latino female now, so just adjust my pronouns. Yeah. So I've been in the entertainment business for 17 years, and I think what we're not talking about is children right now. Thank God I had about 5 years where this was not happening, where race was not pounded over your head.
Yes.
This is destroying people's lives.
Yeah.
The manager that told me, I can't work with you because you're white, he was a pawn, And so it's so sad because I feel so bad for kids who won't have that chance. They're gonna go, oh, I'm told I'm white, so I'm not gonna go for it. What would you say to a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, no matter what their race is? Should you, what would you actually tell them? Should you give your job up? And let me ask you directly, do you think it was justified for me to be told, we can't represent you, you don't have the chance to now compete for jobs because you're white? Yes or no? Was that okay or was that not okay?
I think that what is described
Yes
by
or no?
you.
Don't give me your little
let me
bubble
finish.
wrap.
What
Yes
is described
or
by
no?
you, someone telling you that you can't get that job because you're white, does not sound right to me.
I did a show the other day, and they said, are you doing the next show? And I said, yeah. The guy said, I didn't know you were gay. He said, this is a gays-only show. And so that's why Hollywood sucks right now, by the way, because they're not hiring based on talent. What do we do about heart surgeons, airplane pilots? How far do we want to go with this? Do you want the best heart surgeon, or do you want somebody who you think may have had it bad as a kid, or maybe their great-great-grandfather? I mean, it's ridiculous.
I think it's important to state how affirmative action actually harms.
Totally agree with everything he's saying. Hollywood right now is the worst that it's ever been. They are too focused on their agenda and the goal that they are trying to complete. They're too busy pushing that, and it's failing miserably. You see it on Disney. The agenda they're trying to push. Why do kids need to know about? You remember when he first came in and he was talking about the pronouns? Why do kids need to know all this? Why do kids need to know about transgenders? Why do kids need to know about drag queens? Why? Let kids be kids. Like I said, they are pushing these things way more than they should be pushing it. And you can't get away from this. It's everywhere. Just like you said, back then, we didn't have to worry about this type of stuff. We didn't. Life was so easy, less stress. Now, you see how much stress? Do you see the suicide rates now?
Everybody involved. So when you put a black student on a campus or put them in a job and you've given them, preferential treatment in order for them to be there, you've actually robbed them of knowing they've gotten an opportunity based on their own merit. So they're questioning themselves and their place in the environment. And for all the non-people of color who are surrounding them, they now get to look at any person of color and go, I don't know whether or not you got this job based on merit or based on preferential treatment. And I know this to be true because I'm a biracial woman who has those thoughts now because of the culture that we're living in.
I see that a lot, and I see it in videos where girls are like they want to fight the other girl because she's light-skinned and telling her, oh, you only got that job because of your complexion, but she is biracial. She's still half black. Like, what are you talking about? So you tell me, all because you look at her skin color, she got that job because of her complexion, not because of her skill set, or because she worked hard to get that position. You see where all this is going. It's so much division. It's division in everything. It's division in gender. It's division in race. It's division with work. It's everything is a division.
What I would say is that when we
What's
look,
what you did say?
well, what I say is that when we look at teachers who are the most effective with teaching our most underrepresented students, they tend to be individuals who come from underrepresented backgrounds. But the reason that they're also effective also with white students as well is because oftentimes your faculty of color aren't solely focused just on the cognitive, but also on the relational. Because relationships are a foundational precondition to effective teaching, learning, counseling, advising, or any support practice. Said differently, it doesn't matter how good you teach. If you don't have a relationship with a student, you won't be as effective as you could be. And our faculty of color and staff of color tend to do that.
You're talking about the art of teaching. You're talking about building relationships. They are actually failing when it comes to actually teaching these kids things. This is why
who's failing?
I'm telling you, inner city communities. I'm talking about Baltimore, Minneapolis, Los Angeles. All of the inner city communities are failing black children because they're focusing on the art and not the actual facts. In Baltimore,
We're
as
talking
just
about
one
teacher
example,
diversity, though. You're referring to the full density of the school.
I'm talking about the art of teaching, which you're saying they're better for the student. They're actually not better for the student, right?
So you're saying that faculty of color are not
schools in
effective?
Baltimore, which is an inner city, which focuses, I suppose, on the art of teaching, they couldn't find a single child that was proficient in reading and writing because they think that having somebody who looks like you somehow means that it's going to be better. And also, please, I have to clarify this because when we talk about these quotas and someone says, well, there's this many white people teaching and there's this many black people teaching, welcome to America. Black Americans, okay, I don't know how everybody's doing in their math these days. Black Americans represent just 13% of the population, okay, right? White Americans represent 60% of the population, okay? So if you walk into a room and you find that there's only 13% of the room that is Black American and 60% of the room is white American, you are actually walking into a room that is holistic.
Candace, hey, tell it like it is, girl. Tell it like it is. Hey, give me you guys think about this in the comments, and I'm gonna leave you guys with this. Everything Candace said, Baltimore, Chicago. If you look at all these states, right? Philadelphia, it's sad. Affirmative action is ruining it. It's not making you push yourself to your true potential, and that's what they don't want. They don't want you to be smart enough to see and figure what's going on. That's why you see there's always a distraction everywhere you turn. And the sad part is that people are so divided that we can't even get together and see what the true enemy is and what they're really trying to do to us. It's sad. That's actually sad. If you look at rap right now, look at the way they rap, right? There's no substance to what they are saying. Tell me the truth. At least 95% of them, there's no substance to what they're saying. And I want to do the interviews. It's like, I'm like, what is he saying? He can't formulate a sentence. It is sad. And these are the guys that's getting money and cars. They don't even have it up here. But that's what the label want. They want you, they want the rap dumbed down. They don't want you to be smart enough and be alert to what's going on. They keep everything dumbed down. Everything is dumbed down. If you look at it right now, all these young kids, that's why real artists that knows how to articulate themselves and give you that train of thought that you need or that motivation when you listen to the music. Now it's all about the beat. It's not about what you're saying in the song. It's all about the beat. But that's what they want. They want to keep you down. I look at some of these artists and I'm like who signed that contract for you? But now you see it. Now after they signed the contract, years later, you see them complaining about the contract that they signed. And why is that? Because that's what they want. Because you're not smart enough to figure out what they are doing. All you hearing is like, oh, I'm getting so much money, and you just signed it. You're not even reading it. It is sad, man. If you look at some of these states with a majority of black Americans, it's in shambles. It is bad. It is very bad. We got to start waking up. And it's wrong. When I was in high school, I'm going to leave you guys with this right here. When I was in high school, I would see some of the smart white kids being making fun of by the black American kids. Think about that. You were making fun of the white kid because he's smart and he studies a lot. You were making fun of him. But you want to go to college, you get affirmative action. All because they feel sorry for you. No. If you want the same as him, you got to work just as hard as him. That's the way I see it. That's how I got my position. I had to work hard for many years to get to where I'm at right now in life. It goes for everybody. Give me guys think about this in the comments. Candace, hey, Candace always comes with the, one thing I like about Candace, she always comes with the facts. You can't beat facts. Until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out. You guys have a blessed day.